Welcome back to our second virtual science night. My name's Lisa Meads with the Math and Engineering Department.
And I'm Todd Kruger with the Natural Sciences.
So hopefully you either grabbed your STEM kit from one of our COA campuses or you gathered the materials you need at home. So everybody in their bag should have your ruler, your cutout, and I hope you've already colored this. If not, you can color it after we finish. A 3-foot piece of yarn, a straw, and 2 paper clips. So these are the items that you should have within your science kit tonight. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is I want everybody to take their turkeys, and if you haven't already done so, I want you to cut the turkeys out. We want to make sure though that we keep the turkeys attached. So we're going to cut right around these lines and around the outside. If for some reason you've already cut your turkeys apart, you can use the turkeys on your handout as a second turkey that's there for you. So I'm going to cut my turkeys out real quick.
Okay. Now you don't have to be real careful and get all the tiny nooks and crannies, but you do want to make sure the 2 turkeys stay connected. Okay.
And if you're younger or your parents may need to help you cut it out, that's okay too. So I'm going to cut mine out real quick.
You're doing a very nice job.
Thank you. And you'll see here, again, keeping that straight piece to keep them connected.
All right. Looks good. Okay.
So you can see my COA turkeys, okay, and they're still connected. And then the other thing I'm going to do is cut out my 4 feathers. Again, you don't have to be super precise. We're just going to use them towards the end. So we're going to cut them out real quick.
Okay.
And the other thing we're going to cut out in just a minute is our ruler. I gave everybody a little ruler on their material sheet.
Can I hold that up for them to see?
You sure can.
Okay. So right there, in the middle of your piece of paper, you should see a little photocopy of a ruler. Okay. All right. Should say inches and a bunch of numbers. Okay.
All right. So I've got my paper cut. If you want to cut your ruler off, you can cut your ruler off. Make sure you trim it up so that the end, it's on that first end there. So we truly have 6 inches there on our ruler. Now you'll notice we have inches on the top and centimeters on the bottom.
Okay.
And we'll talk more about that in just a second. So here we want to talk about our turkey today. We're going to talk about how to make our climbing or wobbling turkey. So we're going to look at that. Now before we do that, we're going to take a straw. Now I want everybody to just follow along for just a second. I don't want you to construct your turkey just yet. So I'm going to take the straw given in the bag and attach it to my turkey. Okay? So I'm going to tape it in the middle. Don't do this at home because we might have to make some modifications. And I just want us to see what happens. Okay? And I'll show you how to construct yours in just a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to take my turkey and I'm going to put 1 piece of tape on it for right now. And then I'm going to thread the string or the piece of yarn through the straw. Okay? And I'm going to hold my string very tight and I'm going to see what happens. Is everybody ready? Very tight. Just watching. No one should have their kits put together yet. And notice what happens to the turkey. He falls straight down. I wonder why this is happening this way.
That's a good question. That's where the science comes in. What is it that's pulling the turkey straight down as low as he will go?
Okay. So could we manipulate our straw in a way so that we can make our turkey wobble? Okay. So I'm going to take my straw back off my wobbling turkey very carefully. And we're going to cut it to a precise length. So I want everybody to look at the ruler. I've got a big, what we're going to call a meter stick here, okay? The U.S. measures in inches and feet and yards, and that's at the very top. So this represents 36 inches, which is 3 feet, or what we call a yardstick if it were to cut off right here, okay? You'll notice on the bottom, we have centimeters, and this is what we call, its full length is called a meter stick, okay? The U.S. is the only people that still measure in inches. Everybody else uses meters or centimeters or millimeters. So I've given everybody a small little ruler in there, and you can decide if you want to be a inch person or if you want to be a centimeter person, we're going to cut our straw. I'm going to cut mine apart.
Okay.
I want everybody to cut their straw to be exactly 1 inch. So I'm going to hold it up to my ruler. Now let's look at our ruler for just a second. Notice here that we have some big numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This represents 6 inches. Each one of these representing 1 inch. And then halfway between each mark is what we call a half an inch. And then if we go halfway between that, we have half of a half, which is a quarter of an inch. Okay, and we can keep breaking it down. I want everybody to take their piece of straw and cut it to exactly 1 inch so we can construct your wobbling turkey. So we're going to take our ruler, we're going to take our straw, and I'm going to mark off. I'm going to use my scissors. You might need to get an adult to help you. If you want to mark it with a pen first, you can. And it needs to be exactly 1 inch, give or take. Okay? I'm going to cut that. So this is how you're going to attach your turkey. I want everybody to take their turkey, turn it over, and I want you to take a piece of tape and we're going to tape that straw in the middle of that bar. Okay? So this is, everybody need to have some tape at home. So I'm going to tape my straw in the middle so it looks just like this. Then we're going to fold our turkey over so that they line up. Okay? And then we're going to put a couple pieces of tape on that. And I'll put one on the side, because he's going to stay attached this time. One on the top, and one on the bottom.
Okay.
Okay? Oops.
Okay.
Now we're going to attach it to our string. So I want everybody to take their string and feed it through your straw. Okay? And then let's see what happens. Okay? You have to make sure that you hold your string very tight. If you keep it loose, nothing really happens. It has to be nice and taut, okay? Nice and straight. So put a lot of tension on it, and then we're going to hold it straight up. Is everybody ready?
Right.
Is everybody ready to wobble? Here we go. Look at our wobbling turkey. Now I wonder why, if I cut the straw to exactly 1 inch, when it was about 1.5 inches before, why does my turkey wobble now?
Yeah, that's a very good question. This is definitely different than what happened the first time. So why did cutting the straw shorter end up making the turkey wobble like that? So, shall I explain some science?
Give us some science, Mr.
All
Cougar.
right, I'm gonna borrow your meter stick here. So basically what we're saying is gravity pulls everything down, right? No matter what shortness or length of straw you have, that turkey wants to fall down because the force of gravity is always pulling it down. I can do the same thing with this meter stick. If I hold it up with my fingers, it stays right here. But as soon as I take my hands away, it falls straight down. I'll do it again. I pull my hands away and notice how that meter stick just fell straight down. But what happens if I leave one hand here and I let go with the other hand? Okay, so if you can picture what's going to happen when I keep this hand here, but I let this hand let go, let's see what happens. And here. Okay, so this part of the meter stick still tried to fall down, but instead of falling in a straight line, it sort of rocked back and forth. We have a name for objects that do this. We call that a pendulum. Anything that wiggles back and forth like this under the force of gravity is a pendulum. Your turkey is kind of doing the same thing. When we have the turkey, can I borrow this for a second?
Sure can.
It's kind of like what we just did here with the meter stick. It's just a really, really short meter stick. If I hold the turkey up here, you can see it's kind of like the string is holding it up on this side, but there's nothing holding up this side. So that when I pull this string taut and let the turkey go, the side next to the string keeps getting caught on the string. See, bouncing up and down because as the straw falls, it keeps getting caught on the string all the way down. Kind of like hitting the brakes in your car over and over and over. So now, if I let this go, with one side getting caught and one side that just wants to fall straight down, it keeps rotating toward the string over and over and over, and that's why we see it wobble like this. Okay? So, why did shortening the straw make a difference? Well, back to our example with the meter stick again. If I have a really wide turkey like this, and I let this rotate as though it's just a really wide, skinny turkey, it's going to rotate pretty slowly like this. Okay? But what happens if I had a shorter turkey? What happens if I had a turkey that was only 12 inches long instead of 36 inches long? Well, now, if I keep this side supported, but then I let go of this side, it's going to rotate a lot faster. If this is the turkey that's trying to slide down the string, it's going to get caught all the way down, and I'm going to see this wobble, 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 wobble as it falls. So that's the science of why the first straw didn't work, but a shorter straw got caught a whole lot and made the turkey wobble all the way down.
So now let's look if we add some extra feathers. You know, sometimes turkey have a few extra feathers. So
That's
you have
a good idea.
4 feathers. So what happens if we place the turkey's feathers in different places? Anybody want to guess what happens if we put a feather closest to the straw with our paper clip?
Okay, so you have paper clips in your kit.
Yes.
If you cut out your feather,
So I'm going to
slip it
attach,
to the turkey.
and you want to make sure you do it so that your feather doesn't get caught up in your string, okay? So I'm going to make it be a little bit further in.
Okay.
Now I'm going to hold my turkey
All right,
string
so what do you
taut.
think? What do you think will happen?
All right, here we go. Okay,
That was a little different motion. Wanna
let's try it again.
That took a really long time to get all the way to the bottom of the string that time.
All right, so let's move the feather to the front of the turkey,
Okay.
furthest away from the string.
All right, so
What?
now what will happen?
Any guesses? All right, let's take a look. Our turkey is wobbling really slowly, I think.
That is a really long wobble.
Why is that happening?
Well, that's a great question. If you were asking a scientist, the scientist would probably say the more mass you put on the very outside of the turkey. See how far that feather is from the string? The farther out you can put those feathers, the slower the wobble will be.
So now I wonder what happens if we get rid of the yarn. We'll take the feather off. And let's try something else, like a smooth piece of wire.
Okay.
So our straw is still 1 inch. If I put it in, I'm going to
Okay.
try to straighten out my wire as much as possible. You may want to guess what's going to happen. Oh, straight down. No wobble.
There was not
He was on a run.
single
No
wobble on
wobble.
that turkey.
Why did that happen? How is the wire different than the yarn? You see all the hairs on the yarn versus the slick wire?
Okay.
Why does it make a difference?
That's a great question. If you remember what keeps that straw from getting all the way down the string, that's that little bit of stickiness, that little force of friction between the straw and the string. If you have something really smooth like a wire that doesn't give you much friction and doesn't slow down the straw, then the whole turkey just slides right down. So it seems to explain what we saw.
We have one more thing to try out today. I have a big straw. Okay? What happens if we cut the big straw again into a 1 inch piece?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to cut it again.
Okay.
And we're going to attach it to a turkey, which I've already done. Okay? And I'm going to put it back on the same piece of yarn. Do we think it's going to wobble in the same way? Maybe I'll let Mr. Krueger put his turkey on his piece of yarn.
All right.
And let's release them at the same
All right.
time.
I'm gonna put the string through my straw. Okay. Now I'm I'm gonna hold this up next to yours. Okay, you let me know when we let them go.
We're gonna do it on 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Whoa! Oh, man!
So why do we think my turkey, let me do it again.
All right, let's try this again. All right,
They
this
both
time
are
I'm gonna
1 inches. Why does my turkey fall straight to the ground and Mr. Kruger's wobbles still? Any ideas? Let's compare our 2
Yeah.
straws.
What was different about these straws?
Notice that the straw on the right is much larger. It has a bigger diameter, that distance across the circle. Okay? Whereas the smaller straw tend to have more wobble. Well, why did the diameter affect the wobble?
Well, it looks to me like if you have a wider object, you don't get too many options, you don't get as many choices or as many moments to rub against the side as you do if you had a really, really tight space and a little tiny straw. That tiny space is going to rub against the string a lot more than this big, fat, big diameter straw.
So we hope you have had fun tonight with our wobbling turkey. So you've got your turkey that you can wobble about. Our next virtual STEM event will be the 2nd Thursday in December. You can pre-register on our website at www.albemarle.edu/STEM. And what are we going to do in December?
That's a good question.
I think Rudolph may be here. We hope that you pre-register so you can get your Rudolph kits before our next virtual science night. Have a great night, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Don't forget COA is registering right now for spring and summer classes.